A warrant is still in effect for Davy Daniel Corona Sanchez tonight. ICE agents attempted to arrest him in South Burlington last week, sparking a clash between protesters and federal officials. And it shut down Dorset Street, you'll remember, in South Burlington for hours.
According to federal court records, while planning to detain Corona Sanchez, federal agents detained Christian Jerez Andrade along with two sisters, Camila and Johanna Patin on Wednesday. Johanna, an asylum seeker from Ecuador, was released on bail yesterday, but the other two are still in ICE custody.
A federal judge issued that ruling during a hearing that was held earlier today.
NBC5's James Maloney was inside the courtroom. He joins us live in the newsroom now with more on what happened, James.
Well, guys, while a federal judge says he has grave constitutional concerns concerning 31-year-old Christian Jerez Andrade's case, the attorney representing the federal government said in court that he could have an outstanding warrant for an unrelated incident, despite no evidence of that being presented in the courtroom today.
Christian! You are not alone! Christian! You are not alone!
Those supporting the release of the three people detained by ICE last week outside of the federal courthouse in Burlington for the second day in a row.
When immigrant rights are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back!
Tuesday's hearing was for 31-year-old Christian Jerez Andrade. In court, NBC5 News learned Jerez Andrade came to the U.S. in 2015 from Honduras, believing he was no longer safe there. The federal government says he did not enter the country legally, and his lawyer says he did not apply for asylum. Andrade said he lived in Louisiana before coming to Vermont. He traveled to various neighboring states for odd construction jobs and does similar work here.
Every day that he spends behind bars is one day too many, but we also know that this isn't the end of the line.
Andrade does have a criminal record and said under oath that he was jailed for domestic abuse in Louisiana. He said he felt pressured to plead guilty through his lawyer at the time. The government says there is possibly a warrant for charges related to stalking, but all of this is unverified. Still, the judge erred on the side of caution due to lack of information. Andrade's lawyer, Nathan Virag, says the decision came as a surprise.
It was a little shocking. The government did not meet their burden to show he's a danger to the community, and that was pretty clear.
Now the case goes to immigration court for a bond hearing.
He has nothing to hide. He's been super honest, and we've discussed it, and there was never a time when he was worried to testify.
And we do have an update on the other two people detained in South Burlington last week. Camila Patin still resides in ICE custody. She has a federal hearing scheduled for this Friday. Her sister Johanna was released yesterday. Live in the newsroom, James Maloney, NBC5 News.
Tonight with new information and a new photo of the man at the center of that immigration enforcement effort that sparked a day-long protest in South Burlington.
Take a look. This is Davy Daniel Corona Sanchez of Mexico, and federal officials say he's still on the run. He's accused of illegally entering the U.S. after he was removed in 2022. He's got on the feds' radar after a DUI stop in Vermont earlier this year. ICE
says while they tried to stop Corona Sanchez last Wednesday, he caused this damage to federal vehicles. They say he, quote, weaponized his vehicle, ramming the officers' cars. After this, that's when they say he took off on foot, allegedly inside that home that led to the clash with protesters. Advocates with migrant justice claim Corona Sanchez was not the one driving the car and was nowhere near the scene last week.
Those advocates were back on the streets today, rallying in support of a woman detained by ICE at the immigration operation in South Burlington.
But questions remain about why she and two others were detained in the first place. Channel 3's Ike Ben David got some answers for us today. He joins us live outside the federal courthouse where more than 100 people gathered earlier today. Ike, what happened in court?
Yeah, Darren, Tia, good evening. Several dozen people are out here today, all in support of that woman who was detained last week. And today, she was released. Take a listen. That is Johanna Patin of Ecuador leaving the federal courthouse this morning. She's been detained since last week when she was taken from that home that protesters surrounded. Court paperwork says she lives at that house, which is a former insurance office, with her husband, kids, and two roommates. She was never on that arrest warrant, nor were the two other people taken into custody. Patin has a pending asylum case after arriving in the U.S. in 2023. She works in the community and has kids in the school system. Advocates say today's decision sends a clear message about how the case was handled.
It's a huge victory, right? This was a detention that was illegal from the start, never should have happened. And so the fact that she's out again is a reflection of that.
Now, there was actually another hearing today, the hearing for the man who was inside the home and detained by ICE. Christian Jorge Andrade was pushed back until tomorrow. Court records indicate he sought asylum in the U.S. in 2015, but his actual immigration status and how much of the legal process he went through so far to stay here is unclear. And there was a third woman arrested and detained last week. And they also have a pending immigration case. But at last check, there are no active scheduled cases in Vermont right now. Reporting live in Burlington, Ike Ben David, Channel 3 News.